I, 29F, got a promotion at work 2 weeks ago. A big one. Not just a title bump or a minor raise. I mean an actual corner office, salary doubling, lead my own team type of promotion. After 6 years of grinding in a mid-level operations role, where I was constantly putting out fires no one else wanted to deal with, I finally made it. Director of Strategic Planning. I've never felt prouder of anything in my life. And I told no one. Well, almost no one. My boyfriend Caleb knew, obviously. He picked me up that night from work and could tell something was different just by the way I walked out of the building. I was beaming. I hadn't even told him I was in the running. I think I was afraid of jinxing it. Or maybe part of me thought I didn't deserve it, because that's what I'd been told my whole life. That anything good that came to me wasn't earned, it was just luck. The funny part? Caleb didn't even say, "Congrats," right away. He just grinned, leaned over in the car, and said, "You did it, huh?" And when I nodded, he kissed my forehead and said, "Damn right you did." I wish that could have been the end of it. Quiet joy. My own little win. Celebrated in whispers and whine with the one person who doesn't make me feel like I have to apologize for my ambition. But then my mom started asking questions. It started subtly, over Sunday dinner at my sister's house. Just the usual chaos, my sister Lauren chasing her 3-year-old around with a chicken nugget, Dad lecturing someone about how people don't work hard anymore, my brother-in-law complaining about gas prices like it's 1973. Same script, different week. Then my mom turned to me and asked, "How's work, sweetheart?" I froze. Not in an obvious way. I smiled. I nodded. I said, "It's going well." That's it. Just that. A 4-word sentence. Nothing suspicious. But if you knew my mom, you'd know that wasn't enough. Her eyes narrowed like she was about to sniff out a lie. "Well, something's going on. You're glowing. Either you're pregnant, or you finally got that manager role you were chasing." I laughed it off, deflected. Said I was just wearing new foundation. Caleb played along, bless him. Changed the subject by making some joke about the toddler's chicken nugget getting launched at the dog. But that night, I felt it in my gut, she wouldn't drop it. It's not that my family is evil or anything. They're just the kind of people who believe everyone should know their lane. I was always the smart one, but even that had a ceiling. Smart, but not too smart. Successful, but not too successful. My sister Lauren went the more normal route, married by 24, first kid at 26, part-time at a local dentist's office. My brother Jake dropped out of college and works construction with my dad. Neither of them really get what I do. And when I've tried to explain in the past, when I got promoted to operations manager 3 years ago, I remember how it went. Dad nodded, unimpressed. Jake made some dumb joke about how sitting in meetings all day doesn't count as real work. Lauren said, "Oh, so you're someone's boss now," with a raised eyebrow like I'd committed some social crime. And Mom just smiled and said, "Well, don't let it go to your head. Remember, a lot of people are out of work these days. Every single time I've accomplished something, they've found a way to puncture it. As if joy needs qualifiers. As if my success is a pie and they're afraid I'm taking too big a slice. So this time, I just didn't say anything. And for 2 weeks, it was bliss. Every morning I walked into that building with a coffee in one hand and a feeling in my chest like I'd finally arrived. My team respected me. My VP trusted me. I was solving real problems, leading strategy sessions, and finally felt like I was where I was meant to be. Then Caleb posted a photo. We were at this rooftop bar downtown, celebrating quietly. Nothing wild, just a candid of us clinking glasses with the city skyline behind us. No caption. But someone commented, "Congrats on the promo. Knew you had it in you." Cue, digital explosion. Lauren saw the post. Sent me a screenshot. Texted, "Wait, what promotion?" I stared at my phone for a solid 5 minutes, then typed back, "Long story. Can we talk later?" But she didn't wait. By the time I got home, there was a whole group chat blowing up. My mom. Lauren. Jake. Even my dad chimed in with a rare, "What's this about a promotion?" I didn't reply. That night, Lauren called. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message that started cheerful, "I'm happy for you, really," and then turned sharp. "But why wouldn't you tell us, Meg? Don't you think we'd want to celebrate with you?" Celebrate? No. That wasn't what they did. Not without adding the inevitable, "But don't forget, or don't let it change you." The next day, I finally texted back, "I just wanted to enjoy it in peace." Lauren left me on read. Caleb told me I didn't owe anyone anything. "Your success is yours," he said. "They don't get to dim that light just because they're uncomfortable." But it didn't matter. The fuse was lit. Mom called that night. This time, I answered. I don't even know why. Some part of me still wants her approval, I guess. Still wants to believe she'll surprise me. She didn't. She went straight in. "Why would you keep something like this from your family, Megan? Are you embarrassed by us now? Too important for Sunday dinner with the rest of us peasants?" My jaw clenched. That's not what this is about. Then what is it about? You got a promotion. That's wonderful. But you act like it's some secret. Because I didn't want to go through this again, I snapped. I just wanted to have this one moment to myself. Without commentary. Without being told I got lucky. Or that I think I'm better than you. Silence. Then, "Well, you didn't get there alone, Megan. A lot of people helped you along the way." There it was. The casual invalidation. The need to remind me that no matter what I do, it's never entirely mine. I didn't say anything. Just ended the call and stared at the ceiling for an hour. Now the group chat's cold. Caleb says I should let them sit with it. But part of me wonders, was I wrong to hide this from them? I don't know. I'm proud of myself. But now I feel tainted. Like I'd betrayed some unspoken family rule. The silence lasted a week. A full week without the usual passive-aggressive memes from Lauren, without my mom's check-ins, without my dad forwarding YouTube links about the collapse of modern work ethics. No texts from Jake about how I was probably drowning in emails. Just silence. And maybe I should have been relieved. But silence in my family isn't peace. It's a prelude. A stillness before the storm. We don't do calm, we do build-up. Cold shoulders, long pauses, "I'm fine," that mean anything but. Caleb noticed the shift in me immediately. I was picking at my dinner, chewing the same bite twice. Checking my phone like it would suddenly forgive me. At one point he reached across the table and touched my hand. "They're stewing," he said. "Let them." I shrugged. "They think I'm ashamed of them." He tilted his head, eyes narrowing. "No. They think you should be ashamed of yourself." He was right. And it hurt. Because the truth is, my family never quite knew what to do with me. I was the first to go to college, the first to move out of state, even if only for 2 years, the only one who worked a salaried job that didn't involve a union or a punch card. I used to try explaining what I did, breaking down efficiency flows, KPI tracking, corporate scaling strategies. Eventually I gave up. Jake once said, "Meg's job is being good at emails." That stuck longer than I care to admit. Anyway, I knew the silence wouldn't last. It broke on Friday. I came home to a group text, "Dinner at Mom's Sunday." Everyone. No excuses. Short. Final. Not a request. Caleb looked over my shoulder. "We going?" "I think I have to," I muttered. He raised an eyebrow. "You sure they deserve this round?" That question haunted me. But the truth is, I've spent my whole life trying to deserve them. To be worthy of their love while still carving out my own space. And every time I make even the smallest crack in their version of who I'm supposed to be, I feel it, like I've committed a betrayal. So yeah. I went. Sunday was as tense as I expected. Lauren's house smelled like pot roast and resentment. Jake was already on the couch, playing some mobile game with the volume all the way up. Mom was in the kitchen, clattering dishes louder than necessary. Dad was outside, smoking a cigar like it was a Western. No one greeted me. Caleb reached for my hand as we stepped in, and I squeezed it tight. We sat down to dinner. Everyone passed plates. Chewed. Avoided eye contact. And then, halfway through the mashed potatoes, my mother laid down her fork with a dramatic clink and said, "So. The promotion. Here we go." I kept my voice even. "Yeah. That's all," she snapped. "Yeah? What do you want me to say? How about, sorry I didn't tell you? How about, I know this family supports me and I shouldn't have hidden something like this from the people who raised me?" Caleb stiffened beside me. I felt his knee press against mine under the table. Jake snorted. "Guess being the big boss means you don't need us little people anymore, huh?" Lauren didn't say anything. Just sipped her wine and stared into her plate. I took a deep breath. "I didn't tell you," I said, "because I didn't want to go through this exact conversation." My mom's eyes flared. "This what, Megan? Us caring about your life? No. You questioning it. Undermining it. Making me feel like I have to defend every good thing that happens to me." Dad came in then, just in time for the fireworks. "What's all this?" "She didn't tell us she got a major promotion," Mom explained, tone sharp. "Apparently because we're all too toxic to be trusted with good news." I looked up at him. "Would you have congratulated me, Dad? Or would you have told me that I should stay humble and not forget where I came from?" He blinked, like I'd slapped him. "Excuse me for wanting you to keep your feet on the ground." I stood up, slowly. My chair made a soft scraping sound that echoed too loud in the tense room. "I've kept my feet on the ground my entire life," I said. "I've worked for everything I've got. I've taken every overtime shift, said yes to every stretch project, gone years without vacations. But none of that's ever been enough, has it?" Lauren finally spoke. Quietly. "Meg, it's not about what you've done. It's about how you act like you're above us now." I turned to her, stunned. "I don't. I never have." "You do," Jake said. "Even in high school. Remember how you used to correct people's grammar in class? Always had to be the teacher's favorite." "That was 10 years ago," I snapped. "And nothing's changed," he shot back. I felt heat rise in my face. But instead of shouting, I did something worse. I laughed. Not loudly. Just a breathy, bitter chuckle that silenced the whole room. "I see it now," I said. "It wouldn't have mattered if I told you. You'd still be sitting here, dissecting it. You'd still be twisting it into some kind of character flaw. Because deep down, none of you believe I earned it." "No one said that," Mom said sharply. "You implied it. Every time you say I got lucky. Every time you call what I do just emails. Every time you act like I've somehow betrayed the family by succeeding outside the box you built for me." I paused, looking around. "You know what I wanted? Just once? To be able to celebrate something without someone saying, 'Don't get a big head,' or 'Let's see how long that lasts.' I wanted to enjoy it. Quietly. Without explaining. Without being compared. Without hearing, 'Well, Lauren had a baby, and Jake got a new truck, so don't think you're better than us.'" A heavy silence followed. I could feel my pulse in my neck. Caleb stood next to me, folding his napkin. He was ready to leave. And then, out of nowhere, my dad said, "We never said you weren't good enough." I turned to him. "No," I said. "You just made damn sure I never felt like I was." We left. I didn't cry. Not until we got in the car. And even then, it wasn't sadness. It was something more complicated. Like mourning a version of myself that still believed she could earn their pride. The drive home was dead quiet. I watched the streetlights flicker past the windshield, feeling like each one was counting down to something I didn't quite understand. Some finality. Some line I just crossed. Caleb kept one hand on the wheel, the other resting lightly on my thigh, thumb tracing slow circles. He didn't try to talk. He knew better than that. Knew when I needed silence more than comfort. But the silence in the car felt different from the one I'd just left. This silence wasn't judgment. It wasn't passive aggression dressed in politeness. It was space. A stillness made of safety. And for the first time in a long time, I realized how much I'd come to equate quiet with danger. When we got home, I kicked off my shoes in the hallway and just stood there. Caleb set his keys on the counter, glanced back at me. "You okay?" he asked, soft. "I don't know." He nodded. Didn't push. Just stepped closer and pulled me into him. I didn't cry this time. I think I was too emptied out. That night, I slept like I'd run a marathon on broken glass. Monday came fast. Work was a whirlwind again, strategy briefings, timelines, board approval rounds. But the job felt different now. Like it existed in a separate universe from everything else. No more mental cross-chatter. No more looking at every win and thinking, what would my mom say about this? For the first time, I allowed myself to enjoy being good at something without mentally defending it. Still, I kept checking my phone like I was waiting for a grenade to go off. It didn't take long. Wednesday morning, I got a text from Lauren. "So, Mom's been calling me non-stop. Wants to fix things. Can we talk?" I stared at it for a minute before replying. "Sure. Call me tonight." That night, I sat on the couch with a glass of wine and took the call. Lauren didn't waste time. "Look," she said, "I've been thinking about what you said Sunday." I stayed quiet. "Anne. I get it. I do. You're not wrong about how we handle your wins. I mean, hell, even when you got into that fancy internship during college, Dad said, 'Hope they don't chew you up and spit you out.' I remember that." My throat tightened. "Yeah. I remember too." She sighed. "I think we've just never known how to deal with you being different." That stung. And I hated that it stung. "I'm not trying to be different," I said. "I just didn't want to be small." "I know," she said. "And I think maybe we made you feel like being small was safer. Or more lovable." We sat in that silence for a while. Then she added, "You deserve to celebrate in peace." I blinked. "Thanks. But also," she continued, "maybe we deserved a chance to show we could be better." I didn't answer right away. Then I said, "You had 29 years of chances, Lauren." That ended the call. The following weekend, I got a letter in the mail. An actual letter. In my mom's handwriting. It wasn't long. Just a few tight paragraphs. She wrote that she was hurt, but that she'd been thinking about what I said. That she didn't realize how much her words had followed me through life. That she had always tried to keep me grounded, not realizing she'd been clipping my wings instead. And then the last line. "I don't know if I can change overnight. But I'm willing to try. If you'll let me." No grand apologies. No excuses. Just that. I didn't cry. But I did reread it 4 times. I called her that night. She answered on the first ring, voice brittle with nervous hope. "Hi, sweetheart." "Hi." Another silence, but this one had warmth in it. "Got your letter," I said. She exhaled. "I meant it." "I know. We didn't talk long. Just enough. Enough to signal that the door wasn't locked. That maybe, just maybe, things could shift." But then Jake texted. "Heard Mom caved. Guess she likes being guilt-tripped." I stared at the screen. Deleted the message. Then blocked his number. Over the next week, something strange happened. People at work kept asking what changed. Not in a bad way, just curious. My energy had shifted. I was more confident. Sharper. Calmer. One of my analysts, Kevin, said in a meeting, "It's like you're finally owning the room." I smiled. Maybe I am. I'd spent my whole life waiting for permission to take up space. To be proud. To be unrepentantly good at what I do. Turns out, the permission wasn't theirs to give. But of course, it wasn't all resolution and epiphanies. Because a few days later, I got an invitation. Lauren's daughter, Emma, was turning 4. Birthday party at their house. Family, neighbors, probably a bouncy castle and a lot of forced small talk. The invitation was in a pink envelope, addressed to both me and Caleb, sealed with glittery tape. I set it on the counter and stared at it for days. Caleb didn't pressure me. Just said, "I'll go if you want to. But if you don't, no guilt." That's the thing about people who love you without agenda, they never make your presence a condition of peace. In the end, I went. Because Emma didn't deserve to be collateral damage. Because part of me wanted to see what version of my family would show up that day. The party was chaos, of course. Kids everywhere. Juice boxes and bubbles and shrieking laughter. Lauren waved me over, looking a little sheepish. "Thanks for coming." I just nodded. Jake gave me a once-over from across the yard and said nothing. Caleb steered us clear of him like a pro. Then Mom appeared, holding a slice of cake, and said, "You look well." "I am." She hesitated, then asked, "Work still good?" I smiled. "It's great." She nodded. Didn't push further. Just stood next to me, watching the kids. After a beat, she said, "I looked up your job title. Online." That caught me off guard. "You did?" "Yeah. Had to Google half the terms. But, it sounds important." "It is." She nodded again. "I'm proud of you." No sarcasm. No backhand. No but. Just 4 words. I didn't say anything. I don't think I could have. But my heart gave a little lurch. Progress doesn't come in parades. Sometimes, it comes in quiet confessions in backyards, over melting cake. That night, Caleb asked how I felt about it all. I thought for a while. Then I said, lighter. The next few weeks passed with that strange, unfamiliar ease, the kind that makes you suspicious, like the universe is holding its breath. Work kept me busy. My team was clicking. Projects were ahead of schedule, and for once, I wasn't bracing for some personal implosion to undermine it all. Caleb and I started talking about taking a trip, something we hadn't done in years. A real vacation. I was the one who brought it up this time. "I was thinking Lake Como," I said one night while we were folding laundry. He dropped the towel in his hands and stared. "You? Suggesting a vacation? Are you okay?" "I think I am." He laughed, pulled me in. "Hell yeah, Director Logan. Let's book the tickets." I did something I rarely let myself do. I looked forward to something. And that's when Jake called. No warning. No, "Can we talk?" Just a number I thought I'd blocked lighting up on my phone while I was waiting for my Uber outside the office. I stared at it for 3 full rings. Then, against my better judgment, I picked up. "Yeah?" Jake's voice came through, uncharacteristically quiet. "Hey." I waited. "I heard you talk to Mom. And Lauren." More waiting. I know I was a dick. During dinner. Before that, too. Silence. I just wanted to say I was pissed. Not because of your job. Just everything, I guess. I leaned against a concrete pillar and exhaled slowly. "Everything? You've always made it look easy. And I know you'll say it wasn't. But from where I was sitting, it felt like, no matter how hard I tried, I was never gonna catch up. That hit harder than I expected." "You think I made it look easy?" I asked. Jake snorted. "Come on, Meg. You were always 5 steps ahead. Grades. Scholarships. Promotions. Dad'd say something like, Jake laid drywall today, and Mom would go, Megan just presented to executives in San Francisco. I started feeling like your shadow. A really dumb, greasy version of it. The honesty caught me completely off guard. And for a second, I didn't feel angry. I just felt tired. I didn't choose to be the favorite, I said quietly. I worked my ass off to not disappoint them. It wasn't a game to me. He sighed. Yeah, well, it felt like one to me. And I was losing. I didn't have an answer for that. Maybe there wasn't one. Then he added, anyway. I'm not asking for anything. Just thought you should hear it. Thanks, I said after a long pause. We hung up. I didn't feel better. I didn't feel worse. I just felt something new. Like the story I'd written in my head, the one where Jake was just petty and jealous and mean, had more pages than I'd ever bothered to read. The vacation plan stuck. Caleb and I flew out 2 weeks later. Italy. Sunshine. Aperol spritzes. We stayed in a villa that overlooked the water, and I swore I could feel the last decade of my life peeling off me one layer at a time. We talked about everything: family, future, forgiveness. One night, over dinner, he asked, "Do you ever think they'll really get it?" I didn't answer for a while. Just watch the ripples move across the lake. Then I said, "Some of them might. Some of them won't. And you're okay with that?" I sipped my wine. I think I have to be. It wasn't acceptance. Not really. But it was the beginning of something like it. A loosening in my chest. A sense that maybe I didn't need every chapter to end in applause to call the story complete. We got back home late on a Sunday. By Monday morning, I was back in the rhythm: emails, meetings, executive briefs. I slipped back into my role like I'd never left. But I moved differently now. Less guarded. More present. A week later, I ran into my old boss in the elevator, the one who used to joke that I should smile more in meetings or else people would think I was cold. He looked me up and down and said, "You're glowing, Megan." I smiled. It's not glow. It's power. He laughed, awkwardly. Didn't say another word. The doors opened. I walked out. Then, 3 weeks after we got back, Lauren called again. This time, it wasn't about Mom. Or Emma. Or Jake. It was about her. "Can I ask you something?" she said, her voice brittle. "Of course." She hesitated. "Do you ever feel like you're performing? Like your job makes you become someone else?" I leaned back on the couch. "You mean pretending to be less than I am? Or pretending to be more?" "Either." "Both." I thought about that. Then I said, "I used to. I don't anymore." "What changed?" I stopped asking for permission. She didn't say anything for a while. Then, quietly, "I don't even know who I'd be without permission." And that cracked something open in me. Because for all the times I'd seen Lauren as the safe one, the mom friend, the one who stayed close to home and didn't challenge the family rules, I hadn't considered that maybe she wanted more. Just didn't know how to reach for it. "Do you want to come over next week?" I asked. "Just us?" She said yes. That night, I lay awake thinking about the patterns we inherit. The roles we get assigned before we even understand what they mean. The smart one. The screw-up. The pretty one. The one who doesn't cause trouble. Like labels on a shelf. Unspoken contracts we spend our lives either trying to fulfill or trying to break. But what no one tells you is that you can walk off the shelf. Rewrite the contract. Not everyone will like it. Some will feel betrayed. Some will never understand why you left the aisle in the first place. But once you do, once you stop performing the role they wrote for you and start living the life you chose, it's very, very hard to go back. And I wouldn't. Not ever. Lauren came over the following Thursday, just after 6. She showed up in a soft gray hoodie, holding a bottle of Pinot and looking like someone who hadn't decided yet if this was going to be a conversation or a confession. Caleb greeted her, offered her the good wine glasses, and then excused himself to the bedroom with his laptop and headphones, giving us space. He was good like that. He always knew when I needed room to breathe. We sat at the kitchen island, sipping quietly for a while. She looked around at the place, then down at her wine. "I always thought you lived in some sterile corporate box," she said. "But it's warm. Personal." I smiled. "Thanks. I've been making it mine." She took a breath. "That's what I came to talk about." I raised an eyebrow. My apartment? No. Making things yours. She looked at me like she was trying to read a foreign language she was only now starting to learn. I think I've spent most of my life trying not to want too much, she said. Like if I reached too high, something would smack my hand. I didn't speak. Watching you, she went on, I used to think you were reckless. Like, doesn't she know what people will say? But now I see, you just stopped waiting. I set my glass down. It wasn't that clean. It took years. But you did it. She said it not with envy, but awe. And that's when it hit me, Lauren wasn't bitter. She was scared. Scared she was running out of time to change her story. You know, I said, just because they expect you to be a certain version of yourself doesn't mean you owe it to them. She looked up. You think it's too late? I shook my head. Not even close. After she left, I stood in the kitchen for a long time. Just breathing. I wasn't used to these moments, soft, simple ones that didn't demand I defend myself or pick a side. I'd lived so long in reaction mode, in defense mode, in prove my worth mode, that I almost didn't know what to do with peace. But I liked it. I wanted more of it. That weekend, I invited Mom over for brunch. No siblings. No tension. Just her and me and a batch of cinnamon rolls I'd tried, and failed, to keep from burning. She walked in, looked around, and said, "This place really suits you." I raised an eyebrow. "It's just a rental." She shook her head. "No. I mean the feel of it." We sat, we ate. We didn't talk about the past. Not directly. But at one point, she asked me something she never had before. "What does your day actually look like?" It stunned me more than it should have. I told her. I explained how my team worked, what our quarterly goals were, how we mapped cross-functional strategies and prepped for board alignment. I expected her to nod and tune out. She didn't. She listened. And when I was done, she said, "That sounds really hard. But exciting." And then she added, "You're good at this, aren't you?" I looked at her, trying to read the space between her words. But there was no subtext. No but. Just a question. "I am," I said simply. She smiled. "I'm glad you finally believe that." And for the first time in my adult life, I felt seen. Not tolerated. Not critiqued. Seen. That night, I sat on the couch, scrolling through old photos. College. Early jobs. The first time I wore a blazer that actually fit. I saw the girl in those photos, smart, tired, always trying to smile the right amount. Not too proud. Not too ambitious. Palatable. And I wanted to tell her, you don't owe them smallness. I never posted about the promotion on social media. Not even after the dust settled. Not because I was hiding. But because I didn't need to perform it anymore. The win was mine. Lived. Felt. Owned. A few weeks later, I ran into my old professor at a coffee shop. Dr. Mendez. She taught one of my business courses in undergrad, the one where I gave a presentation on process inefficiency that everyone else fell asleep during except her. She recognized me instantly. "Megan Logan," she said, smiling. "You look taller somehow." "I wear heels now," I joked. We caught up. I told her about my role. My team. The direction the company was heading. Her eyes lit up. "You're doing it," she said. "Exactly what I imagined you would." I laughed. Took a while. She leaned in. The good ones always take a while. They build. They don't flash. It stayed with me for days. One last thing happened. An email. From Jake. Not long. Not emotional. Just a subject line, apology. Inside. I was jealous. "I'm working on it. Hope you're still crushing it." That was it. And it was enough. I didn't reply right away. Not because I was angry, I wasn't, but because I wanted to absorb what that meant. That sometimes people do change. Quietly. Privately. Without fanfare. Just like I had. The truth is, I used to think success would feel like a finish line. A trophy. A final arrival. But it doesn't. It feels like sitting in your own skin and not flinching. It feels like choosing who gets access to your joy. It feels like no longer asking the world for permission to be who you already are. I still love my family. But I don't need them to get it anymore. And that's freedom.